in this video, we're going to talk about tax homes.
Womp, womp, womp.
It's really riveting.
Yeah.
Not very much fun, kind of boring, but super, super important that you understand what a tax home is and how you can set one up properly so that you can get tax-free money as a traveler and be making that money, honey.
Cheddar, baby.
It's my
Welcome to our channel. We are Kim and Erran. We're healthcare travelers, we're teachers, we're leaders in this industry. And on this channel, we give tons of educational, inspirational, and lifestyle tips for healthcare travelers.
Yes. If you are new to this channel, we hope you will consider subscribing because we do videos like this along with some really cool travel videos around the world that hopefully will inspire you when you have your time off as a healthcare traveler.
Oh yeah.
But first off, before we get started, this is very important to understand. Kim and I are not accountants. We are healthcare travelers. We have researched this for many, many years and talked to a lot of experts to try to understand it enough to teach you. But if you do want a deeper dive, traveltax.com is a great resource for you. Why do you want a tax home? That's a big question, right? Because a lot of people say, ooh, I'm a healthcare traveler. I get tax-free money. Not the case. You have to have a proper tax home set up so that you do qualify for the tax-free money. And that's why this video is going to be really important to pay attention to.
Okay, so what is a tax home? Why do we care? What does it mean? So a tax home essentially is super simple. It's just where we make money. It's where we make the majority of our money, where we live, where we pay taxes, right? So when we were full-time living in Florida, our tax home was our home. We made money there, we paid taxes. It's very, very simple. So what gets tricky is travelers, we are moving all over the country. So essentially, we're making money in all different states, in multiple states every single year, and we're paying taxes to multiple states every year. So we don't just have this one place that we're going and we're making money. So the government now looks at us and gives us an exemption, right? We're mobile employees, essentially. That's what we're considered. And so they give mobile employees an exemption, and so we're able to use a permanent address as essentially our tax home. But there's rules that are in place in order to set it up correctly. And so that's what we're going to get into in the next section.
Okay, the rules. Rule number one, let's just say, is you have to have had made money in that state. Just like Kim said, we were in Florida, we were working at a facility in Florida, we had a home there, we had everything there. We had our driver's license there, our car insurance there, all of that stuff was to that address. That was our tax home. But the crazy thing is a lot of people, like let's just say coming from San Francisco and they're starting to travel, they're paying a lot of money into that house. You can't just say, oh, Delaware, Florida, they don't pay state taxes. That's where I want my tax home to be. So that's my new address. You cannot do that. You have to have that tax home established. And it's with all of those things that we said, where you have to be making money in that state. Or
you have to have made money in that state at some point. So say, for instance, you're in San Francisco and you want to establish a tax home in Florida, you would, and again, for more like information, go to Travel Tax, but essentially you would just need to go to Florida and you would need to make some money there. They say like a fourth of your income. So you need to make money there, and then you could establish some roots and set that up as your tax home.
The second thing is, let's say you have a home, let's just say in Florida, and you were working full time and you're paying for that home and you have monthly rent that you pay or a mortgage that you're paying, then that is your tax home. And from there you can be like, well, I want to go travel. Well, your tax home is set up. That is your home, right? That's what works as that tax home. The best case scenario is if you outright own that home and you don't have a mortgage payment anymore. Well, guess what? You don't have money that's going monthly to a mortgage or rent, But the government looks at that as like, man, you put time and money into that tax home, you haven't abandoned that home, which we'll get into, and there was expenses coming from that home to keep it up. So that is a proper tax home as well. That's the best case scenario.
Let's just say you don't have a home. Okay, you don't own a home. What are your options? So you can rent a room. Okay, you don't have to rent an entire apartment or an entire house. You have to have a room with access to a kitchen, a bathroom, like a place that you would live, right? It can't be like a closet. It's got to be like a place that you're actually going to go back
Somebody's
to.
back shed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, actually, or like a tiny house or something.
A tiny house would work, but not. It has to have kitchen and a bathroom.
Exactly.
Access.
So you could rent a room, say from mom or from your sister or a friend or whomever. But here's the kicker, and this is what is really, really important. Your mom can't give you the I love my daughter discount and charge you $25 a month, okay? She has to charge you, and you are required to pay every single month what we call fair market value. So that is what your mom would charge a stranger off the street to come in and rent a room from her with access to all the things. How much is she going to charge that person? And a good way to kind of gauge what that would be is to look on like Airbnb or Craigslist in that area. And then that is essentially what you are going to pay mom every single month. Every month. Just like a normal bill that you're paying her rent to rent the room from her.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to that is when Kim and I first started out, our recruiter told us that all you have to do is pay $250 and that's good. And that is a myth. Do not let anybody tell you that. Just like Kim stated, it is fair market value, and that is going to change based off the location, right? So Florida, we is lucky, right? Because it's a lower market
than like a New York City or something.
Correct, or San Fran, right?
Can I just say something real quick? Most companies will tell you it's $250 a month, and that is what the company has come up with because there's a lot of gray area. That's the thing with the IRS and all these tax things. That's why it can be confusing. It's not cut and dry. There's no exact number. So that's the company's rule, but that is not an IRS rule. So that's why we say fair market value, so that there's no confusion if you were ever in an audit.
Correct. If it's rent, it has to look like rent, smell like rent, which means it is best for you to have some sort of contract that looks like a rental agreement. You want to really protect yourself, so have that paper trail and just don't pay cash, right? You need to have something that states like, yo, I paid this much money every single month and I did it while I was traveling, because again, it's really about protecting yourself in case of an audit.
Yeah, so having a paper trail. And we're going to talk about why none of this even matters unless you get audited at the end of the video. The next thing is that you can't abandon the home. So what does that even mean? Okay, it means that you're going to go home. You're going to go back to your home. You're going to go visit your home, right? Like as travelers, we're all over the country, and then we take some time off essentially, and we're going to go back to our house and enjoy the time with our family and our friends and all the things. And so again, this is a theme here, but there's no exact amount of time that the IRS says that you need to like be at your tax home. What kind of word on the street is that if you're in an audit, they've accepted like 30 days. This kind of seems like real, like they were home, they contributed, they were there at the tax home visiting all of the things. So you got to go home. You can't just leave for 5 years and never return back. And you need to have a paper trail while you're home showing, oh, I went to Subway, I took mom to dinner, I went here, I got gas. You're going to be able to need to prove that you were at your tax home for at least 30 days out of the year.
Yeah, make sure you get gas there. And again, don't let mom be like, we're so happy to see you, we're going to pay for everything.
Yeah.
They can give you the cash, but you need to pay with your card to show that you were home.
Exactly.
Last thing, this is actually what I consider pretty simple, right? But it can be tough if you're traveling around the country and things change. But at your tax home, you need to have everything pointing back to that tax home. So that is a library card, that is your driver's license, your driver's registration, your voter's registration. So if you ever were audited, you have all of these things with the address stating that this is my tax home. This is the home that I return to when my contract's done, because then I'm looking for another contract. That is the proof that you need to state that you have a proper tax home set up.
right, so let's just recap the rules, and hopefully we haven't lost any of you guys. I know this stuff can be a little bit confusing, but if you have any questions, please leave us a comment below and we will walk you through it and try to help you understand it as much as possible. So number one is you have to have made some money in the area that you're choosing to be your tax home, which means, again, you can't just choose that Kansas is going to be your new tax home for no reason. You had to have put some roots down, made some money from the get before you establish that as your tax home. Number two, you have to pay fair market value rent every single month. Whether that's you're renting a room or your mortgage or whatever it is, but consistently paying fair market value every single month.
Ooh, something I want to add real quick. If you are travelers like Kim and I who like to work in a contract and then take a lot of time off in between, just picture your tax home as, even if you don't have a home, Kim and I couldn't have a home in Florida and take time off of our full-time jobs and say we're going to travel to Europe for 2 months and be like, oh, guess what? We're not paying rent. Like it doesn't, awesome. It would be awesome. It doesn't work that way. So even if you don't own a home and you have an apartment, you still have to be contributing to that apartment while on vacation from your contract.
Right, exactly. Okay, number three is you can't abandon the home. You got to return to it. You have to spend some time there every single year. And then the last one is that all arrows need to point back to
Rome,
your tax home. So again, driver's license, voter's registration, everything, mail, all of that is going back to your tax home.
All roads lead to home, not Rome for tax home.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's good.
It's clever. Okay, so now we understand what a tax home is. We know how to properly set it up, which means that we get to cash in on that tax-free money.
Yes.
Which is awesome. That's why we get to make a lot more money as travelers, okay? So why stipends? Why does the government even give us stipends? Why do we qualify for stipends? And why does a tax home then give us stipends? So that's what we're going to walk you through right now. All right, so here's the skinny. So we have our tax home in Florida, okay? And we are leaving this home, this residence that we pay money into every single month. We're leaving here to go take a job, a temporary job. Remember,
temporary, yeah.
We're temporary. We're taking contracts that are, like 3 months typically, or 6 months, however long, but it's a temporary gig. We're not permanently moving somewhere. So that's super important. So we're temporarily moving away from our tax home to a distance that's far enough away from this home that in order to take this job, we're not able to go back and forth,
not able
right?
to commute.
It's too far, right? So you have to get another place to live while you're working this contract. So you have to lay your head down on another pillow at night that's not at your tax home. And so the government looks at that and says, okay, she's duplicating her expenses. She's paying a lot of money, right? She's paying for her tax home. Now she's traveling here and she's got this apartment she's renting. She's got a lot going on. And so we're going to help offset those expenses. We're going to throw her a bone and we're going to give her some stipends. So some tax-free money to go towards her housing where she sleeps and also her meals and incidentals and all of that. And so that now becomes part of your pay package every single week, and you get this big chunk of cash that's now all tax free, which is awesome.
Wow, that was really good. I cannot believe you just flew through that.
Nailed it.
I know. That was awesome. You actually got done and I was like, wow, that was good. Anywho,
it's a lot to remember.
One big thing is I wanted to tell you that, again, all of this doesn't matter unless you get audited. We have a lot of people in our group say that they get nervous around tax time, like what if something's not right and all this kind of stuff. It's not that you have to prove all this stuff every single year, but you should have all of your records somewhere in case you get audited. There should be a paper trail leading to all of this, a rental agreement. If you have a mortgage, fantastic. You have your electric bill and your water bill and all those things that you're paying monthly to keep that house up. That's all paper trail. Also the paper trail coming back that you came back to the house to make sure, in Florida hurricane season, that your house is good to go for hurricane season. All of those things help contribute to that proper tax home, that if you were ever audited, you have that to show the IRS.
Because I just wanted to add here too, it makes if you were to ever get audited, everything needs to be very clear and very upfront and very easy to understand. But as a traveler, even when we're filing taxes, our accountant's not like, let me see your tax home. Like, this is not anything that anybody cares about unless you were to get audited. You need a clear, very easy to understand path that shows that you were able to receive this tax-free money legally. And if for some reason you're not, and your tax home isn't legit or whatever reason, then you may get penalized and have to pay back or pay taxes on all of that money that you received. And that's why this is super, super important.
Yeah, well, paying all that money you received in tax-free money, and then also, like Kim said, there's a big penalty that you get hit with on top of that, and it's just a pain in the butt to try to show all this stuff. So that's why we really stress that have that paper trail, have it locked away in a file on your computer or a zip drive or something like that, and keep updating it as you travel. Alright, so the last thing that we want to mention very briefly is if you're listening to this video and you're like, man, I don't have a tax home and I really don't want to set one up or have the means to set one up, you can still travel. The only thing is they're just going to give you an hourly wage. It's going to be a good hourly wage. Don't think that they're going to lower it, but everything will be taxed. So you do not qualify for the tax-free money. And so we just really wanted to put that out there. Also, during this video, I was like, you know, we always hear from companies and recruiters and actually other travelers about the 50-mile rule, right? And that is a myth within the industry, but there is a little bit of layers to that. And so it's not the video that we felt that we wanted to explain that on. So if you do have any questions about that or want us to do a video on that, please leave a comment below and we will get that done for you.
And the only thing I'm going to add to that is that, just in case you don't know what that is, a lot of companies say that in order to receive tax-free money, you have to be 50 miles away from your tax home. And that's what we're saying isn't true. And so if you have questions, leave a comment. We'll do another video on that and explain that in more depth. Until then, I hope that this video was helpful. I hope you're not terribly confused. It's really not that complicated, but it's definitely something important to know. Leave us any questions below. We'll answer them. And also remember, traveltax.com is a great resource.
Well, not only traveltax.com, if this did trigger something inside of you, we do have Travel Life Freedom and Scrubs on Facebook. That is our group, our free group for healthcare travelers. And also, if you really want to just say, screw all of it, I just want that deep dive, we do have Traveler School, which is our online course, which we break all of this down and have an interview with the master himself, Joseph Smith, that really explains all of this, and it's lifetime access that you will have.
Forever.
Forever. All right.
Okay, we're going to eat steak now. Bye.